Hello there, welcome to another My Hair Transplant XP video. For this one, I just want to talk about people with receding hairlines, going through my experience with my own receding hairline and how to kind of maximize your hairline while you still have pre-existing hair. Now, of course, in my experience, it's been a long journey. I'm 32 now, have this hair, and yeah, we've just got it styled. We're gonna try and go for a little bit of a mullet at the moment. But I noticed my hair start to recede when I was about 16 years old. I would just have these kind of temple areas here that were really starting to go a bit further backwards. Yeah, we took steps to try and cover that as much as possible. So firstly, I ended up going to the barbers and I would just ask for them just to cut my front my fringe almost just a little bit longer, just leave it a little bit longer, so I would have longer hair back then as well, and I would just be able to bring it forward, sweep it to the side, give a bit of volume to my mid scalp, and then yeah, it would look fine. Like, no one ever really noticed that I had a receding hairline until it was really windy one day, or something like that. And even then, like, it wasn't too bad, but it was one of those things that you want to get covered. And then of course I ended up looking like this at 20, so it was very hard to manage at that point. I didn't take any kind of medication and I wasn't really aware of it, hadn't done any research on it at the time. And it was only really after that picture surfaced and people saw just how bad it was. At such a young age, I would turn to minoxidil. So I used the minoxidil 5% foam. I think it was Regain, the company that I used, and I would essentially just keep on spraying it in my mid scalp, in my frontal hairline area, and it would be a twice a day thing, and I felt like it did maintain the hair that I had at the time, but where I was just inconsistent with it at times. I'd take about a month off sometimes, or maybe even 2 months, maybe even it would just be a case of 2 days even. I'd just take a break from it, and then I would gradually then just start to see it like recede and recede even more. While doing that, I changed up how I would do my hair. So of course, with the hairline how it was in the previous picture, I would still kind of look like this when I did style my hair. So what I would do is I moved from using hairspray type products. I felt like that didn't do me any favors. I used to think that would just give me the maximum hold to stop it kind of blowing around as much as possible, but yeah, I it just didn't feel great in my hair. So what I did was I stopped using hairspray. I started to not wash my hair as much as well. So I would just read upon, come across certain articles where it was explained to me that you kind of got to let your hair breathe. It's all the natural oils in there. So I would just wash my hair probably like twice a week and let those kind of natural oils do their thing. And then by not washing it, you manage to just keep a bit more texture in there, and you just get to style it how you want, just that little bit easier when you need to. And yeah, I would do that also with dry shampoo. And also I switched up from conventional shampoos to then using baby shampoo, just because there's less crap in there, and again, it just let my hair breathe. So when it actually came to styling my hair and having it look a little bit more like this, I would then again stop using hairspray, stop using like traditional paste, and then I would just revert to using like dry powder and dry shampoo. That just giving it a thicker look. And dry shampoo, I would use this dry shampoo which kind of matched the colour of my hair, which just gave it a kind of thicker look. It gave it a more dense look, and it wasn't quite hair fibres, which I'll get onto in a minute, but it just kind of just made certain gaps look a little bit better. And I managed to get quite a lot of hold from it as well. Like, I didn't have to worry about the weather that much, I don't think. And at this point, I was in between a Norwood 2 and a Norwood 3. And yeah, I would end up using the powder first, so I'd get my hair just a little bit damp, not too wet at this point. Style it to how I want it, and put the powder in, style it even more, and then just top it up with the dry shampoo afterwards, and then I was good to go. And yeah, it's just little things like that. Like, if you were using stuff like gel, stuff like paste, wax, I feel like it just gives your hair a bit more of a wetter look, and then it's just easier to thin out your hair. It's easier to see your scalp, and I feel like you just want to get your hair as thick and dense as possible to get that way and naturally. So now I want to get onto some other methods which I kind of studied and looked into and decided if I was for and against them at the time. The first one is some of these hairpiece wigs. I see quite a lot of them online, and they get put on certain like 40 to 50 year olds, and it takes like 15 to 20 years of their life. They look really, really good. I've got to say, like, you end up gluing on this hairpiece which matches the back and sides of your head. It looks really, really natural when it's on, but not for me personally. I feel like you're almost living a lie to yourself. Like, you're gonna be single most likely if you're getting this done. Even if you're in a relationship, it's a bit unconventional. And I feel like especially if you're single, you meet someone, your hair looks great, and there's going to be a point where you're going to have to reveal what your real hair is. And this person who would be your partner would probably be interested in you anyway. Like, even if you had a bald slash shaven head, it probably wouldn't have mattered. But it's just that lie and that covering up, that literal covering up, which I feel like will go against you. And it's just something which I'm not for personally. It just feels like you just be living a bit too much of a lie, and I wouldn't recommend it personally. But yeah, obviously all of that is circumstantial. Also, you've got micropigmentation, the procedure where you get your head tattooed, loads of little dots in your head which look like little bits of hair follicles. It only looks good if you're, I guess, wearing your hair low, having your hair really, really short. In my opinion. But again, for me, while I do think it looks good, you've got people like Chris Eubank Jr., for example. Looks like he has that, and it just looks too unnatural for me again. Like, I think if you're gonna have that obvious of a lie, and especially if you're on a public spotlight or you're kind of seen around a lot, like, there's no point living that life for me. I think it's just always going to be one of those things that's in the back of your mind as well. Especially if you're on camera, if you get seen under a certain lighting, things like that, and with it always in the back of your mind, I don't feel like you can ever really truly be yourself. So again, for me, that's not something I'm into. Also, you've got hair fibers, which are pretty similar to that aforementioned dry shampoo, but it actually just latches onto your hair and creates a much thicker look. Essentially, looks like it creates new hairs. And again, this is actually a really good option. Like, for me, I didn't really know about it until I was up to like a Norwood 4 anyway, so I didn't feel like that was for me. In my opinion, it's only really worth it if you're around a Norwood 3 or below. Again, otherwise it would just be a case of using too much to make up for what you don't have. Again, living that lie. I mean, you do get the waterproof fibers now, or water resistant, I should say, but again, like, I just feel like it's always going to be in the back of your mind, especially if you're outside in the elements or under certain lighting, again, out in the wind, out in the rain. And I think if you're just using too much to make up for what you don't have, again, at the back of your mind, it's not worth it. If you're a Norwood 4 or past that, again, in my opinion, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're, I'd say a Norwood 3 or lower is completely fine. Okay, now overcompensating aside, I do genuinely think if you're past a certain point, if you're past a Norwood 4, there are actually a lot of ways you can still look good bald.
And here we go.
Really easy to do, to be fair. Like, you've just got to meet, in what my opinion, a certain criteria is, which will sound very shallow and vain-ish, but at the same time, I didn't even meet my own criteria, so take from that what you will. Firstly, I think just being able to dress well, dress in a way that suits you, can really, really help. Just wearing like woolly hats or caps, I think, definitely helps. Wearing kind of like high neck type things, even like this, suits anyone who's kind of got that like Norwood 4 plus hairline, or if you've really shaved your head bald, that's completely fine. And yeah, things like turtlenecks and actual shirts instead of t-shirts as well, I feel like definitely help fit that criteria. Also, you've got height, and this is a criteria I didn't fit personally. Sad music. I'm a humble 5'8" on a good day, and yeah, like obviously you've got quite a lot of people who are going to be taller than you, can look down on everything which is going on. I was a pretty aggressive Norwood 4 before I had my hair transplant, and again, like I feel like if you're about 5'11" or taller, absolutely fine. I don't see an issue with that at all. Also, another obvious one, which is a theme in which a lot of guys who decide to shave their head bald tend to do, is grow their hair backwards by growing a beard out. And if you can grow a beard, as you can see, I cannot. A little bit prepubescent. Prepubescent. A little bit childish, yes. Can't grow a beard. Again, didn't fit my own criteria. So, again, if you can grow a beard, that definitely helps. Also, a little bit edgy, but the darker your complexion, that definitely helps. So even if you're, I'd say, olive skinned, somewhere from like the middle of Europe or something like that, again, it definitely helps. And then, say, the darker you get, I feel like it just suits being or having a shaven head, in my opinion. Again, you can clearly see I don't fit that criteria. So again, the darker you are, the better, in my opinion. And lastly, on that one, just being in good shape. Like, you don't want to be an average height to even shorter bald man with a bit of a pot belly. I know a lot of women are into that now, but I mean, there's a point where it just becomes a bit excessive. By all means, have a bit of a dad bod. That's completely fine. Anything more than that, if you're a bit unhealthy, for lack of a better term, again, it's just not going to look good, in my opinion. Not going to feel great within yourself, mentally or physically. And again, if you decide to go bald, I feel like obviously being in better shape definitely helps. Again, that's been me from my HairTransplant XP. That was just kind of summarizing how to look good bald, how to manage thinning hair, and yeah, like and subscribe if you want. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments, and I'll see you soon. Peace.